Howdy everybody. Welcome to Thursday Midweek Spiritual Tune-Up here at the Center for Spiritual Living Pleasant Valley Facebook page. We are live on Facebook. I'm Lissa Coffey, and thank you for joining us. Everyone who's out there, appreciate it very much. So today I thought we'd talk about Raja Yoga. So let me give you a little bit of background on what Raja Yoga is. There are actually 4 yoga paths in Vedanta. And yoga isn't just the yoga for exercise that we think about. Yoga means to yoke. It's uniting where we are to where we want to be. So it's a path. So yoga is actually a path, and there are 4 yoga paths that take us from where we are to where we want to be. And where do we want to be? Enlightenment, right? Spiritual growth. And the way it works is that each of these 4 paths are kind of like lanes in a highway. So picture yourself like going down life on this 4-lane highway. And each lane is one of the paths. So there's Karma Yoga path, Bhakti Yoga path, Jnana Yoga path, and Raja Yoga path. When you're going down the freeway, all of the lessons you learn, all the lessons you learn, all the scenery that you see is the same. You're going to get to the same place no matter what path you're on. And it's okay if you change lanes every once in a while too. That's going to happen no matter what. But for the most part, because of our personality, there's a certain lane that we're going to stay in more often than the others. And if you want to take the quiz to find out which Dharma is yours, you can go to whatsyourdharma.com, DHARMA, and take the little quiz. And it's fun. It's not scientific at all. It's just for fun to see what your personality might lean you towards, which path. So Karma Yoga is the path of service, work, action. I think we've talked about this before. It's all about helping other people. It's all about, sharing your gifts and talents with the world, helping to make the world a better place. A lot of volunteering kind of thing, for nonprofit organizations or whatever. Bhakti Yoga is the path of love. And this is basically the lesson in this is seeing God, seeing the divine within each and every person. So being able to look at someone, and it could even be an animal, any living being, and seeing that divine spark within them, seeing the spirit within them, and knowing that is what you love. That spirit within is what you're attracted to. It's what you love. You can see that is what you are too. So that's an amazing spiritual path. Jnana Yoga is the path of knowledge. So this path is particularly good for people who like to study and learn and dive deep and ask questions and, sit in the front row and ask the questions. It's good for people who like to teach as well, because by teaching you also learn. So it's the path where you question a lot and then you get answers a lot, and then sometimes those answers give you more questions, and it goes on and on and on. But it's all about studying and taking classes and reading books and that kind of thing. So people who tend to be bookworms and tend to like to study, they tend to be the ones who are on the path of Jnana Yoga. Then there is Raja Yoga, which we are talking about today, and that is all about looking inside. It's It's the path of meditation. It's also called the royal path because Raj means king, right? So Raj is like the king's path because the king has time to meditate, and it's kind of like a luxury thing, right? But monks also have time to meditate, and they don't have all the jewels or whatever, but they've gotten to the place where they have the time to sit and dedicate just to this. So it's kind of a luxury. So we're going to go through the steps of Raja Yoga, and I'm using my book, What's Your Dharma, as reference. And you can go to whatsyourdharma.com, like I said, to take the quiz if you're interested. But yeah, so think about, Raja Yoga. Raja Yoga is all about training your mind. So the purpose of meditation is not necessarily to get enlightened. That's the end goal of any of the paths. But on the path of meditation, what you're trying to do is to purify the mind, because it's only when we have a pure mind that we can become enlightened. So that's kind of our goal here. And it's all about, introspection. So let's see. There are basically 8 steps on this path, and we can follow them methodically. You might, if you've read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, you might recognize these steps because that's where they come from. All of these traditions are connected in one way or another. And this is where the actual practice of yoga comes in all of the sacred scriptures. So the way I break it down is there's 8 paths, which is a lot to remember. So I kind of chunk them into 3 separate groups. So it's kind of like if you're building a house, what do you do first? You have to build the foundation. So the first 3 steps are basically our spiritual foundation. The first step is called Yama, Y-A-M-A. And this is truthfulness and nonviolence. So this means having the virtue of truthfulness. So it's more than just not lying. It's always speaking your truth. It wouldn't even occur to you to say anything different than the truth. It's about being authentic. It's about not misrepresenting yourself. It's about not taking advantage of people, all that kind of stuff. It's about not claiming something that is not yours. So in Buddhism, they have this too, where it's you don't take something that's not freely given, right? There's a lot of the same principles in Buddhism as Vedanta, because as you know, the Buddhist started out, he was a Hindu, just like Jesus was a Jew, and then Christianity started after he died, named after Christ, Christianity. But Buddhism started as a practice on its own after the Buddha died. So he was a Hindu, throughout his life. So that's truthfulness is one of the things. Being true to yourself, being honest, being a good person in that way. The other part is nonviolence, which the Sanskrit word for that is ahimsa, A-H-I-M-S-A, ahimsa. And we hear a lot about this nonviolence when it comes to Gandhi, because he patterned his life after this. His whole philosophy was about nonviolence. It's like there's no reason to fight. It's not about being passive at all. It's about being active in not fighting, in not being violent, in being kind and compassionate and empathetic. So that's a very active thing. Part of this means, we're not just talking about physical violence. We're talking about don't say things that are mean. People, don't give people dirty looks, right? All of those things can be perceived in some way or another as being violent. So we don't want to be violent. We want to be kind. We want to be loving. Okay, step 2. Now I'm looking at the clock and it's like, okay, time goes so fast. I could spend the whole time talking about just one of these steps, but I got 8 to go through, so I'm going to pick up the pace. Step 2 is niyama, discipline, contentment, and selfless service. So this takes it even a step further, saying that swasya is a Sanskrit word that means established in oneself. This is joyfulness, contentment, and perfect health. This is what we are looking for by practicing these 3 steps. Joy is within us. It's discovering the joy that's already within us. And a lot of that is actually being happy with what we have rather than coveting something outside of us, desiring something more, something different. It's being happy with what we have, recognizing that joy that within that is already there. When we're talking about selfless service, this is called seva. And this is a big principle in Hinduism and Vedanta, that helping others, doing good work, what you're actually doing is you're helping yourself, because this is what we are put here on this earth to do, is to help others. That's the law of relationship. We're here, we're all connected, and we're here to help each other learn and grow, and that's seva. Okay, so then we're on to the second part of this house. So that was the foundation. Now we're on to the structure part. So the third step here is asanas, which these are poses. So this is the actual yoga that you go to the yoga studio to practice. And it's all about attaining that perfect balance in mind and body. Knowing that mind and body are intricately connected, that if your body's out of balance, your mind's going to be out of balance. If your mind's out of balance, your body's going to be out of balance. So it's living life in balance. Taking care of yourself, watching that you stay on that middle path that they call it in Buddhism, that middle path. Not too much, not too little, not too much one way or the other, but just like moderation, right? And that's kind of what yoga teaches us when we do the poses, how to stay in balance, how to be relaxed and focused at the same time. So it's a very amazing practice, focused attention. It talks about the qualities that you need to have focused attention. Shraddha, which is faith. Virya, which is strength. Smriti, which is memory. And what they're saying is having a good memory makes things easier for us. It's just like, when we memorize the alphabet, we don't have to go back and think, oh, what was that letter again? Oh, I recognize it. It just makes life easier because we've got it, So memorizing scripture is good because then we'll get it. It'll become a part of who we are. We memorize these verses and they inform us even when we're not thinking about them. And the other one is prajna, which is discernment. Discernment is knowing the difference between what's real and what's not real. Okay, so then step 4 is pranayama. You may be familiar with this. It's controlled energy. A lot of people translate it as breath or breath practices. And this helps you to develop controlled energy because we can control our breath. Of course, we need our breath, right? It helps us to live, but we can choose when we breathe, how we breathe, right? And we can feel that energy flow through us as we breathe. So that's the point of doing some of these pranayama exercises, is to practice, practice, practice. Okay, clock's ticking here. Number 5, pratyahara, self-restraint, self-control. It's practicing the restraint of our senses. So rather than, okay, we're in this human body, we have these 5 senses. So many times it's like, ooh, we're hungry. What do I feel like eating, right? So the tongue, the sense of taste, is ruling us rather than the mind saying, what would be good for me right now, right? Yeah, I'm hungry, but what would be good for me? Not what tastes good or whatever, right? Think in a higher sense. It's all about not being a slave to that monkey mind, like the monkey mind that says, ooh, my TV show is on, I'm gonna go watch it. It's saying, yeah, the TV show's on, but I can tape it and watch it later. Right now, I'm gonna do some prayers, I'm gonna meditate, I'm gonna read a spiritual book, whatever it is. Having that discipline and self-control. It's really part of being spiritually mature. It's like little kids, they want what they want, and it's like, Mom, I want a cookie, and so you have to wait for dinner, right? And the kid's not mature enough to understand, so the mother has to teach the child to be more mature. Well, who's going to teach us to be spiritually mature? We have to do it ourselves, right? And that's where discipline and self-control come in. All right, then this last part is the interior work that is being done in Raja Yoga. And this is all about meditation. So we've got the first part of meditation is called dharana, and that's concentration. So this is before, it's not a meditation practice. It's being able to handle one task at a time. So I think we've been learning as we grow that multitasking is not a great idea, because when we multitask, we're doing many tasks, but we're doing none of them well. We really only can do one thing at a time. So if our concentration stays on one thing from start to finish, we're actually saving ourselves time. We think we're saving time multitasking, but no, they have to switch gears from this to this to this to this, is wasting time, because we have to gear up again and remember where we were and all that kind of stuff. So concentration is dharana. And one tool for accomplishing this might be a mantra. Having that mantra in your mind to get you into that state of concentration where those thoughts aren't clouding your vision, right? Okay, the next part is dhyana, D-H-Y-A-N-A, and that's the actual meditation. And this is when the mind is able to sustain concentration. So you're not going in and out, in and out. You're more like there, right? And it's not no thought, because we cannot have no thought. We are human beings in this body, and the brain is working all the time. So the mind is working all the time, but it's having peace amongst those thoughts. It's having the discipline to allow thoughts to pass by so that we get back to peace. So it's really the calm state of mind as meditation. And then number 8, transcendent space that we get to when we meditate and we feel at peace. And that's samadhi. And so those are the 8 steps. And, you know, Raja Yoga teaches us that we all, at some point in our lives, strive towards spiritual growth. And none of us is going to be perfect. We're all going to be going back and forth. You know, it's not a linear path upwards. We're going like this all the time. But it's inevitable that we will get there. If not in this lifetime, then in another. So just be patient with yourself and just keep doing it. And know that, you know, we're all in this together. And satsangs like this on Thursday night and on Sundays when we all meet at noon, and Pam and I are going to be speaking at noon on Sunday on stepping up and stepping out, which is going to be great. So I hope you'll join us back here again on Sunday. It's going to be a really good day. And also on Sunday at 10 a.m., you can join my Zoom class, which is, you can get the link here or on my Facebook page. We're going to be talking about mandalas with Swami Satyamayananda, who is hilarious. He's such a great guy. He's so warm and loving, and I just adore him. He's our assistant monk at the Vedanta Society Hollywood, and I went to one of his talks on the mandala, and I was like, I love this. We have to do this. So we're doing it on Sunday. So I hope you will join us. That's from 10 to 11 Pacific time. And then Pam and I will be talking from noon to 1 Pacific time right here again. Okay, so everybody have a wonderful day. Mwah. Love you very much. Over and out. Thank you. Bye.